And welcome back, Firewood addicts, to another episode of Travis Does Firewood. Today we're talking saws. So for those of you who have watched my channel, I am not brand loyal. Where is my big red? That was over here. Maybe I put it away. Anyway, I'm not brand loyal. Saws, whatever cuts it cuts. There's a lot of channels out there, like every single they get, they're gloating. I have this 500i, and now it's going 500i is right here, and or whatever saw they're running. And it's not like these channels are being sponsored by Husqvarna or Stihl or Echo. Like, that hardly ever happens, right? So I don't understand like why they're gloating about what they're running. And it's kind of like the same thing when like the Air Jordans came out. The people bought them because they wanted to, because if they thought they bought his shoes, they would be, come on, round. They would be as good of a basketball player as he was, which there's some sort of logic in that in terms of like marketing strategy. But if you're buying a nicer saw that you see on a channel, it maybe had the same power, whatever, or sorry, it will have the same power, but it all depends on who's running it, the type of environment you're running it in, and climate, the elevation, all that stuff. It won't be the same. Chain sharpened, new chain, dull chain. So that's why I don't pay much attention to other channels' saws. I buy what I buy based on my specific needs, and what I think I can handle. And right now, as you'll see, my biggest saw arguably is 60cc saw. So anyway, without further ado, let's showcase all the saws that I have in my arsenal. A few of them you have never seen before, so some people have asked me about my saws anyway, so let's get into it. Jeez, okay. Sorry folks. Yeah, I had high hopes to be in the yard today cutting, or had an idea for an episode, but the last few days my back has been out. And I think it maybe had to do with the previous week of lifting all those free rounds in the trailer. It just goes to show you self-care. Lift with your legs, not your back. And I'm pretty sure I do that, but you never know. And when you get older, or as you get older, your body just does not want to cooperate with you. Anyway, I think if I can sit here, I think it should be okay. But without further ado, let's get into the first saw. First saw, I'm just gonna point to these things. I mean, like zoom in on them as I'm talking. It's this Craftsman right here, with 18-inch, 41cc, and if you look at it, I think I take it down. Nope, I don't want that to fall down. Okay, it's actually made by Husqvarna a few years ago. So this is my first saw. In the early days, pre-channel of having to deal with firewood or branches, whatever. I forget what I was using prior for a chainsaw, or I didn't have one at all. I was literally using an old skill saw to cut up branches. And my former neighbor who lived over here saw this and heard this. It's definitely not a safe thing to do, but I have experience with using carpentry construction tools, so I was fine. But he yelled for my name across the fence, and, "Hey Travis, come over!" And he had this Craftsman saw. He's like, "I'm gonna give this to you." I'm like, "What? What do you mean give it to me?" He's like, well, as you know, we're moving soon down to Oregon, and this one thing that we don't need and not gonna take with us. So I see you're struggling in your yard. Here's this saw for you to use or to have just be safe with it. And like I was very, very grateful for the saw, very, very grateful for the gesture, kind of them. And so that's how I got my first saw. You will see this saw in my early videos of the channel. Definitely lacking power with the 41 cc's. It's the first saw learning how to sharpen the chain, how to maintain the saw. It has been a workhorse for me, but definitely a learning curve of how to use it. And I figured out quickly that I needed more power. So I haven't run this Craftsman for a while because I stepped up since I got the 460, which I'll talk about later on. But the Craftsman has done well, and I need to maybe bring that out again and showcase it. But yeah, that's my first saw, is the Craftsman, which I still have. Next saw that I got is this Poulan 16-inch bar Poulan. I don't think there's any more. Oh, specs. Here we go. Specs. It's a 2600 25 CI. I don't know how many cc's this is. Let's see, does it say on here cc's? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this saw. CC, definitely a smaller homeowner saw, definitely older. I got this for free from another neighbor behind me. He had some. We were chatting about small gas engines, and he accumulated a few because he used to maintain them or to work on them, whatever. And he had a few chainsaws, and I'll get to pick one of them. So I picked this one because I have heard of Poulan before. The bar and the chain looked to be decent. So I had this one and used it in tandem with the 18-inch bar Craftsman. The only thing about this saw is there's no chain brake. This is just like a safety thing to cover your hand, but there's no chain brake. So when you have a kickback, it's not gonna, there's no chain brake to like stop the chain from going still. So excuse me. So that was the drawback of this machine, and it has served me well working in the wood yard and for my dad for other stuff. But I have since retired this saw from the wood yard mostly. I use it as needed to like cut lumber when I'm building these shelters, or I used to, or working on maybe job sites when I are doing like work outside to cut up roots or small like saplings. So if I get the bar dirty or the chain damage, or it's not that big of a deal to have it be banged up, because it's definitely used and abused, and it's not a saw that I use every day. There's a, I don't know if you can tell or not, but it came with a safety chain, and I didn't realize that until recently. But I guess that may impact its cutting style and aggressiveness. But yeah, definitely a decent saw. When I first got it, I had to replace the fuel lines, and in doing so, I forgot to put in this boot, which is why it's tied to here. That whoever gets it next, or I need to go back into the gas lines to put this boot back on to kind of cover things. But anyway, that's my Poulan. All right, next we have my Stihl MS 180C. You can see that or not? So the story behind this one is I retired. See, like that. I retired the Poulan, and this became the replacement. This is also a 16-inch bar, I believe. So the story behind the Stihl, or the retirement, or in terms of retirement of main use of the Poulan, is I was working at one of my parents' yards, and to cut branches from the lower half of the tree down so they would more space. And I was cutting into one of the branches, and that created some sort of like a widowmaker type situation. And at the time I was still like getting into firewood, not understanding trees and felling and all that stuff, and I'm not the arborist type person anyway, and but I'm learning now how to do that type of work. Anyway, so I was cutting into a branch, and all of a sudden I just got smacked on my head and then dropped to the ground. I had cut one branch, and in doing so let loose another branch that had like widowmaker type situation, and that thing just knocked me in the head, and I was on the ground. I had no helmet then. I just had my goggles on and maybe ear protection. Definitely not a safe situation. So I got back up. There's no blood. Dad took me to the urgent care. There's no concussion involved. Just I think there's no blood, no cut. Just definitely just hurt, and I had a headache. So I was put on. I had to be examined, and then just to have people just watch me over for the next like 24 hours or so. But I was fine. But afterwards, my dad felt so bad that he made me retire that Poulan, and he gave me this 180C. And then he bought me a helmet, the yellow helmet that I have, that you see in my videos when I'm using a chainsaw. So that's how I came to have this saw, because this saw has a chain brake. Not that the Poulan in that situation of when I got hit by the branch involved a chain brake, but when I was using the Poulan, like the chain came off, and there was some kickback that my dad had noticed. So he noticed that Poulan was a pretty unsafe saw to use. So that was, and then the nail in the coffin was being hit by that widowmaker branch, and then so he gave me this saw here, which would be my first Stihl saw. It's it's a decent saw. It has one of those like weird things where you can twist to take off the bar and whatever, and to tighten it, which I don't much appreciate. It's a mini Stihl Boss, whatever that means. Obviously I appreciate it because it was a free saw to me, but I don't really use this anymore. I have a similar saw like it that I'll show in a second, but I kind of saved this to kind of keep it pristine as possible. But yeah, that's my 180C. Our next saw that, I mean, it's kind of mine but not really mine, it's this older Echo saw, the CS 346 Echo saw. I don't see CCs. Anyway, yeah, smaller Echo saw. My dad gave this to me to fix up. It wasn't running at the time. It's still not running. To fix up and try to sell. I had time when he gave it to me, and then I push it off, and now I have any less time to work on something like this. I think it has to do something with the fuel lines and maybe the carb, bad gas. It has been sitting for a while. It looks like a 16-inch bar, has a chain brake, doesn't it? Yeah, chain brake works. The purge bulb, I think is this the choke here? Oh, interesting. Yeah, this saw I have never run before. Definitely like a homeowner type saw, definitely good for branches, I would say. But just one more saw that I have that I just wanted to show. It's not running. I could probably get a few bucks for it if it was on Marketplace. I don't think it was used that much, but I think it's just older looking because it was put away rough and then not really maintained very well. So that's this one Echo that I have. Alright, Next saw is my Husqvarna 435 X Torque. What is the specs on this? You know, I don't even know. I think so. If it's 435, that means that for Husqvarna, that means that it's a 35 cc's, right? Is that what that means? I don't know what these saws. It's confusing with the numbers. Anyway, I got this saw for free. This is one of several free saws that I have. Yeah, definitely, because as you watch the channel, I'm very thrifty, but I am getting to the point where I can afford bigger and better saws to progress my firewood empire, if you want to call that. Anyway, this was in if you're from the Pacific Northwest, specifically the west side of the Cascade Mountains, there's a city called Bellevue. Bellevue is a very affluent city on the other side of the lake from Seattle. And this was on Marketplace. I think it was Marketplace for free. They used and abused it. The bar is all like burned up. I mean, original bar burned up. The handle got hot, so their gloves kind of stuck to it, type thing. Probably used for a job in their backyard for a tree, and then had no use for it. It sat, and it was free. So so the downfall is I had to drive like 4 or 5 minutes to get it, but definitely I was astounded that they wanted it just gone for free. So I jumped on it, grabbed it. Came with some fuel and oil and the original box too, which is great. Chain brake, a 16-inch bar. I usually use it. I tend to use this with my measuring stick, the whatever you call the AccuView, whatever measuring stick that you use the magnet on the bar and measure for my cuts. So I have 2 saws sometimes, running one with the measuring stick and the other one with the bigger bar to buck. So I like this saw. I use this saw, go-to saw, besides my 180C. I do like how, I don't think on this 180C, no, the 180C doesn't have a purge bulb. This one does, to make sure that you have enough fuel, so when you go to pull on the rope, it's gonna it will pop sooner, in my opinion. So good little saw for free. I cleaned it up a little bit and have maintained it way more so than the original owner. But the one thing I will say about this particular Husqvarna is when you go to take off the plate, I didn't know this about this one, because the plate comes with the chain brake handle, which is a pain in the butt, similar to the Pinkway, and you have to have it either the chain brake engaged or off to get this plate off. And I didn't know that, and I was taking it off the first time and I thought it was like broken or something stuck, and I did that, and the coils inside or the brake for the coil got, I had to, anyway, it was a big chore to get this back on. I figured it out later, and I had to use like pliers or some of that to get the chain brake, that little excuse me, that plastic disc thing, to the other direction to get this on. It was a big chore. Anyway, that's the issue with this one that I don't like, is the chain brake comes in with this plate. But that's my Husqvarna 435. I have not run this for a while, but it's one, like I said, it's my go-to for like limbs or for measuring for when I'm bucking. In my search on Marketplace for saws for free, I came upon this Poulan Pro form hand 295 46cc saw in my hometown with an 18-inch bar, and it was for free. It was for free. I'm a sucker for free, especially for free for firewood and for free chainsaws. Yes, for For free chainsaws, usually they're going to be hammered, put away wet, and not working. But I figured to have one more 18-inch bar chainsaw in my arsenal running, why not? Why not? Fortunately, I never took the time to get it running. So I was just sitting in my garage, kind of like the Echo that you just saw. It's just sitting in my garage, unused, because I don't have time. But I still wanted to showcase it because it's still a chainsaw that I own. It's in my garage, in my shop. So that's the Poulan Pro, a little bit bigger than the green one. I don't know when this is last ran. The chain looks pretty dull and hammered. It has that like tar stuff on it, where it needs to be run through wood to get that little scuzzy stuff off the chain. So I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of this or ever fix it up. I don't know if it's worth fixing or not, being a 46cc saw. I mean, it's only 50 cc. It's almost 50 cc's of power, but it has a chain brake. It seems to work. Got the clutch, got the choke. There's no purge bulb, but yeah. You let me know if I should ever even attempt to get this fixed and working. Would it be worth it or not? Just for fun, just to have it around. You let me know. Next saw, I guess you call it a chainsaw, is this handhold cordless 20 volt. I think the brand is called Saker Max, small little mini chainsaw. Now, I bought this when I got 2 loads of basically branches from a tree service guy who told me that there were some good pieces of trees, or like logs, rounds, in these 2 loads. And it was like a 7x12 foot dump trailer, and it was packed and heaped, and I got 2 of those. And so I figured I would get one of these chainsaws to help with the limbs, because they had a whole bunch of limbs in them to access the actual logs. So I got it, but I got this too late, and the job already was done. I had to bend over and use my Husqvarna 435 or my Stihl saw back and forth to cut up the limbs, and it was a bunch of bending over. And it was not fun, and I got hosed on that. I mean, the wood was free, and some of that wood I burned in my own wood stove, and some of the branches I've been using sparingly in my firewood bundles, even still. Was a nice saw. I use this around when I'm building shelters to cut wood before I got my cordless sawzall. You can oil it, I think, in here someplace to oil it. I admit this, I have never sharpened the chain. I don't think I have a file this small. I mean, those are some small teeth. I don't know if you see that or not, but those are some dinky teeth. I bought this one. This is not something that was given to me. I think they have their place, and something that I do still use around. It did come with 2 batteries, which is nice, so you can have one charging and one using it in place, as opposed to having one where if it's dead, then you can't use the saw anymore, type thing. There's a safety button where you hold this in to do the trigger. And it's nice having a cordless, not having to be so loud. I think, yeah, again, so this has its place, but this is, I guess, one of my chainsaws, and yeah. Alright, let me sit dress down here. Okay, so second to last is my Husqvarna 460 with the 60 cc's of pure power. This thing is a beast. I am glad that I bought this when I did, and definitely has been a blessing for the woodyard. I don't know what I would have done without this. I would have still suffered with my Craftsman. I bought this used, I think maybe second owner, from a guy who flips saws. He'll buy them hammered and fix them up. Either he'll do it or his mechanic guy will do it, and it has done the job. I have not replaced the bar. I have not replaced the chain. The chain definitely needs to be replaced. It's nice having a bigger saw that can rip through stuff. It wasn't too hammered. It has a compression start button here on and off or whatever. I do appreciate the bulb here to start it, so you get some fuel flowing in there, so when you go to pull on the rope it will pop. I have tried to take care of this saw. I appreciate how the tensioner is on the front or on the side here and not on the front. I appreciate the power. It's at that good sweet spot, I feel, at 60 cc's, where you can do some damage to the wood, but it's not too powerful that you can still manage it. I think I did well with this saw in terms of like buying the saw brand new versus used, and then the condition that the saw was in. So I have no regrets of this saw. I bought this last year with Firewood money. And it has done well in the wood yard and on the channel. I think it's almost time to upgrade, and I'm not sure upgrade what I would get. I'm thinking that 70 cc's would probably be the next step, and probably soon. I think 90 cc's is too much for me in terms of it like just being too powerful for my build and my stature. But yeah, I don't know. So but it's been a good saw. The farm hand or farm touch bar, whatever you call it. Yeah, that's my Husky that you've seen a lot on the channel. She's the beast. So last but not least, my newest to me, or actually this is the only saw that I bought brand new. The Pinkway 63 ACG. This was one of my most popular videos or episodes on my channel when I bought this. It was basically, I honestly bought it as not a gimmick, but to showcase it on my channel. It was advertised as a 63 cc saw, and they want you to run 25-to-1 mixed fuel in it. So I got a lot of feedback on that episode on this saw. Oh yes, sorry, pause real quick. This saw has a 20-inch bar on it. Same with the Husqvarna 460. So those are both 20-inch bars. The Craftsman 18 and the Husqvarna 335 and the Stihl 180C, those are all 16-inch, and the farmhand Poulan Pro, that's 18-inch. So the Pinkway and Husqvarna 460 are the biggest bars that I have. So yeah, I bought this just for two videos, and people had a lot of opinions on the what the mix on it and the bang for your buck on the saw. I paid a little over $100 for this saw, and arguably probably people figured out that it's not at 63 cc's, it's probably in the 50s, but it still has a lot of power. Still does rip. It's currently my go-to saw at the moment, because I want to go through the first tank of gas, and then I want to check out the muffler and such, to make sure that it's not with the fuel mixture, to see if it's not having to clog our stuff, because I think I'm going to be running 40-to-1 in here in the next fuel mixture for this saw. I've been as you've seen on the podcast and talking to other people, the consensus is that the 25-to-1 is not appropriate or needed for this saw. So I'm gonna check it out. Hopefully after my first 1 gallon of mixed gas for this. Check out the muffler and check out the piston on if there's any clogging or how dry or lubricated the piston is with the cylinder. If I can see that far in there. It's a good little saw. I appreciate it. Currently you cannot find this on Amazon anymore. As I may have mentioned before, the only pink way you can find on Amazon currently is the top handle, and that was like a few days ago, and that may be gone by now. Yeah, so there's no primer bulb on this one. It does have the chain brake. I don't like how these head screws are, the bolts, nuts are set into the plate here, so it's hard to get the scrunch in there. And but it's a good little saw. Again, it's my go-to currently, just because it's newer and I know it's sharp, and I want to use up the first tank of gas that I mixed up for it. So that's the pink way. So those are my saws. Do I need this many saws? Probably not. Do I need to keep the 2 saws that aren't running? Probably not. Do I use the ones that are running often? Probably not often enough. It's nice having saws available, especially for different uses. Different saw or different bar lengths, I think is nice. Again, I'm not brand loyal. These are Echo, Poulan, Husqvarna, Stihl. I got all the above here. All the above. I want to add a Mac, an older Mac, to my arsenal, and or a top handle. I don't know why. I don't know why I want these things. I want an older Mac, and I want a top handle, or maybe the same, or an older Mac that is a top handle. We'll see how that goes. I don't know why. I just have the inkling for it. I think the people who are also saw guys, you get it. You get it. And the people who are also Firewood addicts, you get it as well. You have that like urge to acquire one more saw. You know, you may never need it. I don't need a top handle. I'm not in trees. I don't climb trees. I'm afraid of heights. I don't know, but just having a top handle I think would be fun. Why not? I don't know. If you want to see some of these saws that do run back in action, let me know. If you want to see the bigger Poulan and the Echo get fixed, let me know. I can probably arrange that or do it myself. I don't know. I'm not a small gas engine mechanic by any means. I can figure out small stuff. It just comes down to time, and I think that you would all agree time is always a factor. So these are my saws. Is entirety. I have no more, and I did include the non-gas powered one, but they're the handheld. So definitely a lot. But you let me know if I should sell off a few to downgrade. If you have any suggestions of saws for me, do you think that I should get one at a 70cc level, or do you think I should jump up to a 90cc for my next bigger saw to replace or maybe even retire the 460, or maybe when the pink way starts to act up? Again, I don't think anyone's going to replace this bad boy, or to fix it. I mean, to find parts is going to be nearly impossible. So when this thing starts to have trouble, I think it's just going to be an antique that's going to be sit on the wall and showcase in glass as an experiment that worked but failed ultimately because you can't find parts here. But as of right now, I believe it has paid for itself already, even within its first a 1 tank or 1 gallon of mixed gas for it. I believe it has paid for itself because of how cheap it was, based on power and what I got with it. So hope that my back is getting better soon, so I can get back in the wood yard. So again, one more time of me not having any action for you. Yeah, those are my saws. Stay tuned for this Sunday's podcast, the Firewood Addicts podcast series. It's a good one to talk about how he does his firewood logging and his splits up in Alaska. So stay tuned for that on Sunday. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Rock and roll. Keep cutting. Cheers.